Here's something nobody wants to admit. You're weak. Not physically, emotionally. And that weakness is the reason your life keeps breaking down when things get hard. Most people collapse at the first sign of discomfort. Argument with a friend? They spiral for days. Rejection from a job? They quit trying. Relationship ends? They fall apart completely. But there's a small percentage of people who operate differently. They get hit with the same pain, the same rejection, the same betrayal, and they don't break. They don't even flinch. They process it, learn from it, and move forward like nothing happened. What do they have that you don't? Emotional pain tolerance. It's not something you're born with. It's something you build, like a muscle. And just like physical muscles, if you don't train it, it atrophies, it weakens. And eventually, when life tests you, and it will, you collapse. Nietzsche said it best. That which does not kill us makes us stronger. But here's what most people miss. That only works if you're intentional about getting stronger. Most people just get traumatized and stay broken. The mentally strong don't avoid pain. They weaponize it. They turn conflict into clarity, loneliness into focus, setbacks into fuel. They've trained their minds to process emotional damage the way elite athletes process physical damage, quickly, efficiently, without falling apart. Today, you're going to learn how resilient people process pain differently, how they've built emotional stamina that most people will never have, and, most importantly, how you can train yourself to do the same. Because here's the truth. Life doesn't get easier. You just get stronger. Or you don't. And if you don't, you stay weak, reactive, and one bad day away from collapse. Drop this affirmation in the comments right now. I am building emotional armor. Framework 2. How resilient people process pain differently. The difference between response and reaction. Here's where most people fail. They react to pain instead of responding to it. Reaction is emotional, immediate, unconscious. It's your amygdala, the primitive part of your brain, taking over and making decisions designed for survival, not success. Response is cognitive, measured, strategic. It's your prefrontal cortex, the evolved part of your brain, analyzing the situation and choosing the most effective action. Let me give you an example. Two people get rejected from a job they really wanted. Person A, low tolerance, takes it personally, spirals into self-doubt, questions their entire career path, spends days or weeks feeling sorry for themselves, maybe stops applying to jobs altogether because what's the point? Person B, high tolerance, feels the disappointment, acknowledges it sucks, then asks, what can I learn from this? What feedback can I get? What's my next move? Within hours, they're applying to 3 more positions. Same pain, completely different outcomes. The difference isn't that person B doesn't feel pain. It's that they've trained themselves to process it quickly and extract value from it. The psychological truth. Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. But here's the deeper truth. The Stoics didn't just accept pain passively. They actively trained for it. Seneca, another Stoic, would deliberately practice poverty for a few days each month, sleeping on the floor, eating simple food, wearing plain clothes. Why? To train his nervous system to handle discomfort. So when real hardship came, it wouldn't break him. The mentally strong do the same thing. They don't wait for pain to happen and hope they'll handle it well. They intentionally expose themselves to manageable discomfort to build tolerance. This is called hormesis, the biological principle that small doses of stress make you stronger. It's why vaccines work, why lifting weights builds muscle, why cold showers improve resilience. Your emotional system works the same way. Small, controlled exposures to discomfort build tolerance for larger pain. The 5-stage process resilient people use. Stage 1. Acknowledge. They don't deny the pain or pretend it doesn't hurt. They name it. This rejection hurts. This conflict is stressful. This loneliness is real. Acknowledgement prevents suppression, which always leads to explosion later. Stage 2. Separate. They separate the event from their identity. I failed at this task is different from I am a failure. The event is temporary. Their identity is not. Carl Rogers, founder of humanistic psychology, emphasized, the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. Resilient people accept the pain without letting it define them. Stage 3. Extract. They ask, what is this pain teaching me? What information does it contain? Every painful experience carries data about what to avoid, what to change, what to strengthen. Machiavelli wrote, never waste the opportunities offered by a good crisis. Resilient people mine their pain for wisdom. Stage 4. Decide. They make a conscious decision about how to respond. Not react, respond. Given this situation, what's my best move? What action serves my long-term goals? Stage 5. Act. They move. Quickly. Because motion prevents rumination. Action prevents spiral. Forward movement, even if imperfect, is better than paralysis. How to apply this? Next time you experience emotional pain, walk through these 5 stages deliberately. Say out loud, this hurts. Acknowledge. Remind yourself, this situation doesn't define me. Separate. Ask, what can I learn from this? Extract. Ask, what's my best response? Decide. Do something. Anything. Move forward. Act. The more you practice this process, the faster it becomes automatic. Eventually, you'll process pain in minutes that used to take you weeks. Resilient people feel pain faster and release it quicker. Drop this in the comments. I process pain strategically. Framework 1. Understanding emotional pain tolerance. The reality is, most people are emotionally fragile. Let's start with what emotional pain tolerance actually is. It's your capacity to experience psychological discomfort, rejection, failure, conflict, loneliness, uncertainty, without it destroying your ability to function. Think about it like this. Physical pain tolerance is how much physical discomfort you can handle before you tap out. Some people can run marathons, others can't walk upstairs without complaining. Emotional pain tolerance works the same way. Some people can handle massive amounts of psychological stress and keep moving. Others crumble at the slightest criticism. And here's what nobody tells you. Your current level of emotional pain tolerance was built through your past experiences. If you grew up protected from every disappointment, shielded from every failure, rescued from every conflict, you're emotionally weak. Not because you're a bad person, but because you never trained. The psychological truth. Viktor Frankl, who survived Nazi concentration camps, wrote in Man's Search for Meaning, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. The mentally strong understand this at a cellular level. They know that pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Pain is what happens to you. Suffering is what you do with it. Most people confuse the two. They think pain equals suffering. So when pain comes, and it always comes, they interpret it as catastrophe. They collapse. They spiral. They make it mean something about their worth, their future, their identity. Resilient people separate pain from suffering. They feel the pain, acknowledge it, process it, and then they decide consciously how to respond instead of reacting unconsciously. Machiavelli observed, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." In other words, resilient people process their pain immediately instead of letting it fester, compound, and eventually explode into a crisis. The three types of emotional pain. Acute pain, the sharp, immediate hurt from rejection, failure, betrayal. This is like touching a hot stove, intense but temporary if you handle it correctly. Chronic pain, the long-term ache of loneliness, meaninglessness, or unresolved trauma. This is the dull throb that people numb with distractions instead of healing. Anticipated pain, the anxiety and fear about future pain. This is often worse than the actual pain itself. Most of what we worry about never happens. Most people have no tolerance for any of these. That's why they avoid difficult conversations, run from challenging situations, and stay in their comfort zones. The mentally strong, they've trained themselves to handle all three. How do you apply this? Start paying attention to your emotional reactions. When something bothers you, notice how long it takes before you can function normally again. Got criticized at work? Does it ruin your whole day, whole week? That's your current tolerance level. Friend canceled plans? Do you spiral into nobody cares about me? That's low tolerance. The goal isn't to become emotionless. It's to shorten your recovery time. To build the capacity to feel pain without letting it control your behavior, cloud your judgment, or derail your progress. Pain is data. Learn to read it without letting it write your story. Drop this in the comments. Pain doesn't break me. Framework 3. Training emotional stamina, like a muscle. The method is a deliberate discomfort training. Here's the part most people won't do. You have to voluntarily expose yourself to discomfort. Regularly. Intentionally. You don't become emotionally resilient by avoiding pain. You become resilient by systematically exposing yourself to it in controlled doses. The same way you build physical strength by progressively overloading your muscles. This isn't masochism. This is training. And every elite performer, from Navy SEALs to Olympic athletes to successful entrepreneurs, does some version of this. The psychological truth. Psychologist Albert Ellis, creator of rational emotive behavior therapy, taught his clients to deliberately do things they feared. Social anxiety? Go talk to strangers. Fear of rejection? Ask for things you know people will say no to. Fear of judgment? Wear something deliberately weird in public. Why? Because each exposure proves, I can survive this discomfort. It won't kill me. Neuroscience backs this up. Your amygdala, your fear center, calms down through repeated exposure. It learns, this isn't actually dangerous. That's called extinction learning, and it only happens through experience, not through thinking about it. Nassim Taleb coined the term anti-fragile to describe systems that gain from stress. Some things benefit from shocks. They thrive and grow when exposed to volatility, randomness, disorder, and stressors. Your emotional resilience is anti-fragile. It doesn't just tolerate stress, it grows stronger from it, but only if you train it deliberately. The 6 training methods. Method 1. Micro-rejections. Deliberately seek small rejections. Ask for discounts you probably won't get. Request favors people might refuse. Invite someone to coffee knowing they might say no. Goal: desensitize yourself to the fear of no. When small rejections become normal, big rejections lose their power. Method 2. Controlled conflict. Don't avoid necessary difficult conversations. Practice stating your boundaries, even when it's uncomfortable. Disagree with people when you actually disagree. Goal: build tolerance for interpersonal tension. Most people avoid conflict until it explodes. You're training to handle it when it's still manageable. Method 3. Strategic solitude. Spend regular time alone, without distractions. No phone, no TV, no noise. Just you and your thoughts. Goal. Build tolerance for loneliness and boredom. These are the emotions people run from the most. When you can sit with them comfortably, they lose their control over you. Blaise Pascal observed, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." Train this capacity. Method 4. Delayed gratification. Practice wanting something and not immediately getting it. Fast for 16 hours. Wait 24 hours before buying something you want. See a text and don't respond for an hour. The goal is to build tolerance for desire and discomfort. Most people are enslaved to immediate relief. You're training emotional endurance. Method 5. Physical discomfort. Cold showers, hard workouts, long fasts. These aren't just physical, they're psychological training. Your body and mind are connected. When you prove you can handle physical discomfort, your brain learns, I can handle hard things. Jocko Willink, former Navy SEAL, says, discipline equals freedom. Each voluntary discomfort is a vote for the person you're becoming. Method 6. Exposure to failure. Try things you might fail at, publicly. Post content that might flop. Start projects that might not work. Attempt skills you're bad at. The goal is to separate failure from identity. When you fail repeatedly and survive, failure loses its existential threat. It becomes feedback, not verdict. How to apply this? Pick one method. Start small. This week, do one thing that makes you slightly uncomfortable. Next week, do it twice. Build progressively. The goal isn't to become numb, it's to expand your window of tolerance. So that when real pain comes, and it will, you have the capacity to handle it without breaking. Comfort is the enemy of growth. Discomfort is the price of strength. Drop this in the comments. I train my discomfort tolerance daily. Framework 4. The dark side of emotional resilience. The warning. Don't become emotionally dead. Here's something critical that most content about resilience ignores. There's a dangerous line between resilience and numbness. Some people, in their quest to become mentally strong, shut down completely. They stop feeling anything. They become cold, detached, isolated. They confuse suppression with strength. That's not resilience. That's emotional death. And it's just as destructive as emotional fragility. The psychological truth, Brené Brown's research on vulnerability revealed something counterintuitive. We cannot selectively numb emotions. When we numb the painful emotions, we also numb the positive emotions. You can't shut off your capacity for hurt without also shutting off your capacity for joy, love, connection. The people who try to become invulnerable end up unable to experience the full range of human experience. Machiavelli himself warned about this. A prince must know how to be a beast and a man. Meaning, you need both strength and humanity. Pure calculation without feeling makes you inhuman. Pure feeling without calculation makes you weak. The goal is integration, not elimination. The balance. True emotional resilience isn't about feeling less. It's about feeling fully while maintaining function. You feel the rejection, but you don't let it stop you from trying again. You feel the loneliness, but you don't let it make you desperate or bitter. You feel the failure, but you don't let it define your worth. The mentally strong feel deeply. They just don't let those feelings hijack their behavior. The 3 warning signs you're going too far. Sign 1. Inability to connect. If people tell you you're distant, cold, or unavailable, you've crossed the line. Resilience should make you more capable of connection, not less. Sign 2. Lack of joy. If you can handle pain, but can't feel excitement, gratitude, or pleasure, you've numbed too much. Life without highs and lows is just flat. Sign 3. Chronic cynicism. If you've become suspicious of everyone, assuming the worst in all situations, you've hardened into bitterness, not strength. How to apply this? Build resilience while protecting your humanity. Here's how. Practice feeling your emotions fully for a set period, 5 to 10 minutes, then consciously shift to problem-solving mode. Maintain connections with people who challenge you to stay emotionally open. Regularly do things that bring you genuine joy, not just things that test your endurance. Check in with yourself. Am I processing pain or suppressing it? The difference is crucial. Processing means feeling, understanding, and releasing. Suppressing means feeling everything in my life, everything in mind. I assume I have more cruelty. Drop this in the comments. I feel fully without breaking. So, there you have it. The 4 frameworks for building emotional pain tolerance. 1. Understanding that emotional stamina is trainable, not fixed. 2. Processing pain strategically instead of reactively. 3. Deliberately exposing yourself to controlled discomfort. 4. Maintaining your humanity while building your armor. Let me be brutally honest. Most people watching this won't apply any of it. They'll nod along, maybe save the video, and then go right back to collapsing at the first sign of discomfort. Why? Because building emotional resilience is uncomfortable. It requires you to voluntarily experience pain. And most people are addicted to comfort. But a small percentage, maybe 5%, will actually do this. They'll start training their emotional tolerance deliberately. They'll seek controlled discomfort. They'll practice the 5-stage process. They'll build the capacity to handle more pain without breaking. And those people, they'll become untouchable. Not because nothing hurts them, but because nothing stops them. Remember what Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." But I'll add something to that. He who trains his capacity to bear hardship can pursue any why without fear. Your emotional pain tolerance determines the size of your life. Low tolerance? Small life. High tolerance? Unlimited life. Because every worthwhile goal requires you to endure discomfort. Every meaningful relationship requires you to handle conflict. Every ambitious pursuit requires you to process failure. Every achievement requires you to outlast people who quit. The question isn't whether pain will come. It will. The question is, will you be ready? If this video gave you something valuable, hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Subscribe, because we're going deep into the psychology that actually matters. And drop this final affirmation in the comments. Pain is my training ground. Now, go build the emotional armor that makes you unbreakable.